Okay, so this might be a reach, but I was rewatching Tony Soprano, spoilers, kill Ralph Cifaretto the other day on YouTube, as I am wont to do, rewatching clips of The Sopranos, the greatest show ever made in the 21st century. And, you know, I realized every time I watch it, I find something new. It's so bizarre that way. It's like scripture in a very funny sense that there are just very profound revelations coming from very insignificant details. And again, this could just be reading into things, but I don't know. I like to take things to the ultimate conclusion. So I realized that the way that Tony kills Ralph was by strangulation, was by cutting off flow to the windpipe, cutting off his access to air, and then hitting his head on the floor as well. But there was this element of strangulation there. And I realized that Tony Soprano usually kills by the restriction of breath, especially when it's somebody who's close to him. That's what Tony Soprano, that is his preferred method of murder. And so then later in the series, when Tony kills Christopher, insane only moment that had me tearing up on rewatch. You got your Pink Floyd, you got your Comfortably Numb running, and Chrissy's looking at him like a shot puppy dog, you know, just hoping for that heroin buzz to dip out before Daddy sees and takes him out. Tony covers the nose, restricts the breath. He kills Christopher by a restriction of breath. And now Christopher's lung had been punctured. His breath was already impaired. His breath was on thin ice. It was on shaky legs. But Tony came in and knocked the breath out and made sure to restrict it to the point where Christopher died. And so then I'm thinking back through the series, and I'm like, what's the one thing that people, you know, sort of in like YouTube comment sections and whatnot would like always say about Tony as the seasons pass and as he becomes more and more just outwardly demonic and unlikable and power hungry and lustful and destructive to those around him? Well, it's that his breathing gets harder and harder. Like every scene Tony's in, you know, the joke is that you can hear Jimmy Gandolfini breathing sort of in the background, louder and louder. He's breathing. You can hear it. It's coming through the screen that his breath is not coming as easily as it had in prior seasons. He's huffing and puffing everywhere he goes. And I thought back to season 1, college, the great standalone episode. One of those episodes everyone points to is, okay, this is a great episode to just get into the series, get the lay of the land, figure out what it's about. When Tony is going to all these universities with Meadow and he's being stalked by a mob guy, by a mob associate. And this mob guy, I forget his name. I usually remember all the names of these weird one-off characters in this series. But the guy is stalking Tony and Meadow, and he finally has an opportunity to kill him, but doesn't. He spares him. He spares the life of his enemy. And Tony rewards him with strangulation. Tony gets the jump on him, and he strangles him with like wire, with cord. He restricts the breath of the man. And the first time in the series that we ever see Tony one-on-one kill somebody, it's by strangulation. So you have this very interesting theme of, at first, it's used against an enemy who is, you know, this guy who was a former associate who became a Fed. So it's within the rules of the mob world. It's all okay as far as his own personal moral compass within the mafia goes. You should be able to kill a Fed. But then the next time that he does it, it's against Ralphie. It's against a made man. And he has to lie about it and pretend New York killed Ralphie, and nobody buys it. Tony is the worst liar who ever existed. He's a terrible boss, terrible leader. But it's like a taboo. It is breaking the rules even of this incredibly immoral, crooked system of the mafia. It's outside even of that. It is a boundary-shattering, taboo-breaking usage of strangulation against Ralph Cifaretto. And this is all just ramping up to the absolute ultimate destruction when it's used against Christopher, his own nephew, his own son, the prodigal son, the future of the family, just snuffing out the future, removing the breath of a child. And, you know, a child symbolically. And there are many esoteric directions to take this. I mean, it is said in the writings of Justin Martyr that the breath before your very face is Christ. that the Psalms, the 150 Psalms in the scriptures, each one of them is the breath of Christ. So breath is very important, and breath is very important to Eastern traditions as well, where you have your Vipassana meditations, and this notion in Buddhism, restriction of the breath, the total control of the breath can become total control of the body, soul, and spirit. It really can. Breath is that important. So when you have a character who restricts breath and continually uses that method against those closer and closer to him as he becomes more demonic and driven by the 7 deadly sins as the series goes on, Tony Soprano sort of incarnates this incredibly demonic theme of the restriction of the breath. And I just think that it's very interesting the way that that is used against the associates closest to him, when initially at first it seems like it's all part of the game, and then it ends up dissolving the future itself as his own breath is slowly taken from him, and he finds it harder and harder to breathe. And it's very difficult, because in real life James Gandolfini was becoming unhealthier playing the role and becoming larger as Tony Soprano. So I mean, this is a very sad thing almost to comment on. It's a very tragic element of shooting The Sopranos and what that character becomes. And it's just something to think about. Where is your own breath? Where is your breath? You see high-level athletes talk about this as well all the time. Sean O'Malley, on the eve of his title fight with Aljamain Sterling, which he won, he said basically, as long as I could control my breath, I knew I could control everything else. I knew I could control my body. I knew I could control the fight, as so long as I controlled my own breath. That's what Sean O'Malley said. So this is sort of a universal human experience across sports, across theology, across fiction. The breath plays this incredibly vital role in the health of the organism. And, you know, God bless Jimmy Gandolfini, rest in peace. It is the greatest role that has ever been portrayed, in my opinion. I don't think that there's been one better. Still have to see Mad Men, still gotta see Mad Men, still gotta see my Better Call Saul-y, still gotta see Saul get after it. But yeah, those are my thoughts on asphyxiation and The Sopranos this fine sunny California morning. Have a great day.